Welcome to the Dad Show podcast. How y'all doing? Today is part 4.
Hey, can I tell you something? They're like, no. We are preventioned out.
Yeah.
Like, just stop. We're not doing drugs, okay? Like, it drives them, but I'd rather over communicate it than not communicate it at all, and then see them fall into this trap of what they've inherited from me.
Yes.
You know? And I mean, you can't over communicate love.
Oh no, not enough.
You can't do it.
No.
If it was possible, what Jesus did on the cross wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
If you could over communicate love.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate gift of love.
Yes.
It cannot be over communicated.
I agree.
100%.
I agree with that. That's the first podcast that I had on here was with Willie Gallagher and Neil Crass, and it was over the train accident. And one of the things that I asked Willie on there was like, whenever my wife and I leave each other, or we're getting off the phone, or whenever we're disconnecting, however that may be, even through text message, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last thing that we tell. And I asked Willie, I was like, was you able to tell Jada before she passed away?
Mm-hmm.
Because when he got to the hospital, she had already passed, and he wasn't able to talk to her, and she wasn't in a state of mind. And, he said yes before she left the house. We had it every time we departed from each other. We hugged and we told each other we loved him. Man, like you said, you can't overly communicate. I think back in my profession of being a firefighter and an EMT, that how many car wrecks, how many house fires that I've ran that people passed away, and their significant others, their family members are like, I just wanted to tell them I love them.
Yeah.
Like, I did not tell them I love them.
Yeah.
And they regret that so much.
Yeah. My dad fell the other day, and they live here now. They used to live in Phoenix, and after my dad retired, they moved here, and we've never really had my family around, and so we weren't really sure like what that was gonna look like. 'Cause I come from the generation of when you're 18, it's time for you to move on.
Yeah.
And I did that. And so we weren't really sure like how that was going to look and how the kids would adapt to it, because now it's a little bit different. Now you got grandma and grandpa here, and they might have expectations and requirements, and so my dad called the other day, and he said, hey, I need some help pressure washing the house, and could one of the kids come help? And so my daughter went and helped him, and he fell. He went out to check on her, and he tripped on the cement in the driveway, and he just went down. He's at that age now where you just don't catch yourself.
Yeah.
And he went down, and my mom called me, and she said, the ambulance is here, and your dad's going to the hospital, and they're a little bit worried about his brain, and he hit his face pretty hard on the cement, and she said, do you want to talk to him? And I said, yeah, I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
And she said, okay. And so she put him on the phone, and and he's trying to make jokes, and because that's who he is. He tries to make light of everything. He's always done that. But I just interrupted him. I said, Dad. And he goes, what? And I said, I love you. And he goes, well, I love you too, and we've never really had that, but I wanted to communicate that.
Yeah.
Cause you don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
And I remember being a kid, and like my mom coming into my room one night, and she said, hey, she woke me and my brother up and brought us in the living room, and said, like, I need to tell you, like, your dad's plane has gone off radar. Like, they don't know where it is, that we don't know anything right now.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think about that moment and just the stress and the worry, and did I say I love him before you left? Like, but it wasn't something that we did, And so my kids, I've got a daughter that she'll come in and she'll go, I love you. And I go, love you too. And she'll go, love you. And I go, love you too. And she'll go, love you. And it's that, and then she'll go, oh, guess what? And I'll go, what? And she'll go, I love you. And we've built that culture in our home.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I can't, after everything we've been through, I can't. And when I walk away from a school and I have that opportunity to tell kids that I love them,
yeah,
I'm going to take it.
It's
gonna
powerful.
take it. Yeah.
That's so, and I can't stress that enough, man, that they're just not told enough. And you witness it, you see it every single day with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it means so much. Like I get so much outreach from people sending messages like, man, thank you. I've never been told that I love you. I've never been told I'm proud. I've never heard those words from my dad, and man, that just, like I said, that keeps the fire going to the true meaning of what God's put on this podcast is just that, showing love, showing that you care, showing that people that you're proud of them, and that they don't have to do anything. It's not my grace.
Nope.
It's God's grace pouring through me. Yes, the words are coming out of our mouths.
Yep.
But it's not us, man.
Nope.
It's not us. There is a higher, greater power than you can ever imagine. Love, not just the higher, greater power, but a greater love that is there that I can't stress that enough. And
I'll add to that. If you don't feel loved, I promise you, if you just spend some time with God, spend some time with some other believers, you're going to feel loved.
Yeah.
And
it's what you said earlier, power through community.
Power through community.
Yes.
You're going to feel loved.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I say this to my kids, and I say it to kids in schools, and to whoever wants to hear it. But if you're looking for the negative, you'll always find it.
Yes. Yeah.
What are you looking for? Like that's one of the things I love that. Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Are you looking for it to be wrong?
Yeah.
Are you looking for it to be messed up because you're comfortable in that?
Yeah.
Because love's uncomfortable.
It is.
Like it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done this, but a couple of months ago, I was kind of going through a difficult time, and so I would go in the bathroom, I look myself in the mirror, and I would tell myself that I love myself. And I'd go, I love you, Nathan. That's so awkward.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
You just want to shake your
And
head. Like, hold on, what
you don't even want to look yourself in the eye, or the eyes. You're just like, I love you, Nathan, and it's an uncomfortable feeling, but God's designed us to love him, to love our families, and to love ourselves. And I say that because, our body's a temple, right?
Yeah.
We have to take care of it. We have to love it. We have to take care of ourselves. And taking care of yourself is loving yourself, giving yourself grace. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. Give yourself some grace and move forward.
Yes.
Everybody does it. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody messes up. Everybody has you can strike out 100 times and it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. You don't have to be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And I as a dad, that's so hard. I don't know if you go through that, but as a dad,
I do.
I'm tough on myself. I'm like, man, you did that wrong. You messed that up. You shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
You got daughters. You never should have said that.
Yeah.
Like the minute it's just emotions. And I'm so hard on myself. But there's things that I do right, and there's things that I do well, and I know that. I know that because every night, every single one of our kids comes into our room to say, I love you. It doesn't matter what time of night it is.
Yeah.
If our oldest is out working late, whatever it is, she comes home, she'll wake us up. I'm home. I love you.
Yeah. Wow.
We've done something right.
Yeah, I agree.
As hard as we want to be on ourselves as dads, you got to give yourself some grace, man.
And that's the hardest thing, and I'm sure that you go through it as well. Like, I think all the time, like how I failed as a dad because my daughter has her disease.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Like not just my daughter, both of my kids have their disease. Like, of what they have to go through.
Yeah.
And then I have to remember that it's 100% all for the glory of Him, not for me, or not, they are going through this for a reason. We are going through it together for a reason. And that's one of the hardest things that I've dealt with as a dad.
Yeah.
I mean, I mess up all the time.
Yeah.
I make wrong decisions. I raise my voice when I shouldn't. All the above. I fail every day, but like you said, learn from it and move on.
Yeah.
And correct it.
Did you grieve the diagnosis?
That's a good question.
I grieved Jake's diagnosis because when Cara was pregnant with Jake, I was so excited. We're going to do football. We're going to do basketball. We're going to do baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm feeling a little froggy. We might even do soccer, right? Like, I was so excited.
Yeah.
And he's born and he has no interest in any of those things. And I'm thinking, well, he's young. He's all right. That's fine. The Wiggles can take precedent for now, but soon it's going to be football and basketball and baseball.
Yeah.
And he never became interested in those things. And at that young of an age, and, there's no little league. There was no, I don't even know like little football is, what it's called, but there was none of that, nothing. And I remember grieving, like not just for that, but just the diagnosis in general, like going through the grieving process.
Yes.
And it was healthy. Like, it was a healthy grieving, and grieving process it's a healthy process.
It is. Yeah.
But I will tell you that he never played sports, never did. But man, that kid, this young adult, 21 years old, if there's anything you want to know about sports, go ask him.
Wow.
Go ask him. He will tell you. He'll tell you what the rankings are right now. He's a little worried about Tennessee, number 11. He'll tell you stats on players. I mean, he knows it.
Wow.
And I'm going to tell you, you got to be careful what you ask for, what you wish for, what you pray for.
Yeah.
Because I wished for it because I wasn't a prayer at the time. So I was wishing for it. And there's days where I'm just like, bro, like you got to go over there. Like, I can't handle another stat. I don't want to hear about the Vols right now.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go over there. But I'm thankful for it. And I just had that question, like, did you grieve? Because I did the same thing with Ariana. I did the same thing with Summer. Like, I grieved those diagnoses because what I expected, what I thought our lives are going to be like, it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm saying that to say, like, it's okay to grieve. If life isn't turning out the way that it's not, that it's supposed to, that you think it's supposed to, grieve.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, go through the grieving process and deal with those emotions and then, move forward.
I think I'm going to say I did, but probably in a different way. I was that type of dad, that type of man that 2 weeks prior to my daughter being born, I'm YouTubing how to change a diaper. So I really didn't have my dad all through mine and my brother's childhood. He coached our teams and was that coach that was screaming, that was yelling, that was, having the fire in him, and like borderline wanting to just knock us out whenever we didn't do something correctly. And, that's kind of huge too. I'm not trying to go off on a rabbit hole, but my dad never told me he was proud of me. Yeah. My dad, it was always, if I hit a home run, if I hit a double, scored 20-something points in a ball game, 2 touchdowns, you missed that pass. Yep. You threw that ball wrong. Yep. He never wanted to acknowledge the good things. And until I got later on in life and I'd qualified for a mini tour on golf to be able to go into a tournament, that I asked him to be my caddy on that day. And the first tee shot that I hit was right down the middle. And as we're walking towards that, he goes, "I'm proud of you." Wow. And that was the first time I can remember. I was 26, 27 years old probably at that time. That was the first time I can remember my dad ever telling me he is proud of me. My dad was always that hard worker, that provider, the pusher. My grandfather is like my rock, man. Like he is.
Yeah.
My dad's great. Like I'm not taking anything away from him, but he was going providing. Yeah. And my grandfather was retired, and he lived right next door. And so I would even call in sick to school to go be with Granny and Papa all day.
Yeah.
And he was the complete opposite, man. Showed grace, showed compassion, patience. Like, he's a big woodworker, had a big woodworking shop. Yeah. And, that was his hobby after he retired. And, being 5-6 years old, I want to work in the woodworking shop with Papa. That's what I want to do. I want to go out in the garden and do stuff. And man, I remember he'd like give me a board and put 100 nails in it. Like, here, just hammer those nails, practice hammer, just something to keep me busy. I was being a part of it. And I think there's even, when him and my dad were remodeling my old house that I lived in, they were talking about there was one little section of a floor joist that was there that probably had 200 nails in it, because that's what they gave me to do, was just hammer nails in that one little joist to keep me busy. But man, like, just tell your kids that you're proud of them, and show them that grace and show them that patience. Like, it's so huge.
The first hug that I got from my dad, I think I was 17. That was the first time he hugged me. It was just a side hug.
Wow.
Like it wasn't even like a real,
not
that it wasn't a real hug, but it wasn't like a real embrace.
And I have to say, all that being said that I just said, and I'm sure you're the same way, I knew my dad loved me.
Oh, I know for sure my dad loved me. And for a long time, he traveled all the time, and I was so mad at him because he was gone for most of my life.
Yeah.
He had a real cool job in the Air Force, and he was just gone. And, he retired. When he retired, I was 16 when he retired. And then that was just it was different, and I remember telling him one time, I'm like, you're not even my dad. Like, you're just some guy that traveled. Now you're here, you know, and
exactly.
Don't discipline me. Like, I've been running my life the way I'm supposed to run my life, you know? Who do you think you are? Like, I remember going off on him, and he's such a patient man. He's very, very patient, patient with me through all of my mistakes and all of my, and I realize now, like, man, he had the grace of God.
Yeah.
Like, he really did.
Yeah.
And he just offered grace, a lot, discipline too, but he just wasn't an emotional, like, expressing that love and physically, loving like that.
Yeah.
It was, he worked his tail off for his family.
Yeah.
So that we would have what we needed.
Yes.
And I remember telling my mom when I started playing basketball in 6th grade, I said, I want Jordans. And she said, son, we can't afford Jordans.
Yeah.
And man, when she told my dad I wanted Jordans, and she said, she goes, I know, Bill, I told him we can't afford Jordans. That was all my dad needed to hear. He went and worked. And when basketball season started, I had Jordans.
Wow.
And, it was a military pay.
Yeah.
And so what I know now is that he wasn't just working in the Air Force. He was going to do side jobs to make extra money so that we could have the things that we wanted and needed.
Yes.
And I know that. And my dad, nature and nurture, right? I don't know. I don't really know any of my grandparents. I don't know them. I knew my mom's dad for a little bit, but wasn't like a grandfather or grandson relationship.
Yeah.
But my dad learned to work really hard and show his love through that. And because he was physically abused as a kid.
Okay.
And he didn't want to be physical in any way.
Yeah.
He just didn't want it. And that's changed. I see him hug on his grandkids all the time, and
grandkids will change you. What?
Yeah. But I realize as an adult that my dad learned how to be a dad from his dad. I learned how to be a dad from my dad. You learned how to be a dad from your dad.
Yes.
Whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that situation looks like, that's how we learn. But I'm incredibly thankful for the way that my dad was, because my mom's dad was a very hard worker.
Yeah.
Came to America, worked in migrant fields, worked very hard and worked his way up, and became very well known in his community and stuff like that. And he was a hard worker.
Yeah.
And everybody, if even today, if you go to the town that he was from and say his name, they go, "Oh yeah, man, he was such a hard worker."
Yeah.
They know him by that. Man, my dad, I'm telling you, he'll work circles around anybody. That's why he fell the other day, because he don't want to stop.
Yeah, exactly.
But
That's
man,
the way my grandfather is. He's 93. I was building the kids a play set the other day, and he's up there trying to handle 6x6s with me, and I'm like, "Papa, I'll just
give me the ladder."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was mad at me because I wouldn't let him walk on the floor joist.
Well, I get it because he still wants to do it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And my dad said this to me the other day. I took him to the doctor because he still couldn't drive. He had fell, and so he's walking down his steps off of his porch, and I'm standing there, just standing there like I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm not ready, but I'm ready. And he stopped and he goes, "You seriously don't think I can walk down the stairs?" And I was like, "That's not what I think, Dad. That's not my thought. I'm just here to catch you, like in the same way that you were there for me to catch me.
Yeah.
However I needed, you know." And he's just grumpy the whole way to the doctor's office, And we get there and we go inside. I pull in the parking lot and I park, and he gets out and I get out, and he looks at me and goes, "You're going in too?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm not going to sit in the car. Yeah, I'm going to go in, and I want to hear what the doctor tells you."
Exactly. So you can't lie to me.
That's right. So you can't lie to me, And it's this weird transition now.
Yes. Yeah.
Where you like, and I told my wife, it's so hard. I told my wife, I said, this transition, these are the words I said. I said, this transition could not have started to happen at a worse time, because I'm trying to build this business, and I'm out of town, and I can't be there. I can't go provide for us and then be here and take care of them.
Yeah.
Because my mom has her own stuff going on, and this is where, like, I'm telling you, a godly marriage, she said, "I got it. Wow. I will take care of them."
Wow.
And I told her, I said, "It's not your responsibility." Here I go, right? It's not your responsibility. They're my parents.
Yeah.
And my wife, her parents were never really parents.
Yeah.
She went through what a lot of these kids are going through today. And I think that's why she had the ability to sit me down and say, "You got to choose."
Yeah.
But she said, "Your parents have been more parents to me than my parents have ever been.
Wow.
And I will go take care of our parents."
Wow.
And I went, "Well, that sounds weird, but okay."
Yes. But then you're thanking God for that,
yes.
that she is that way. And
yes,
unfortunately, her unfortunate situation, what she's had to go through, but how powerful is that she's, and that's huge, man. On a note that I just had whenever you said that is,
thank you for coming to watch part 4, and come back tomorrow for part 5. Thank you for listening to the Dad Show podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Dad Show podcast. Please like, review, and subscribe.